Good morning and welcome to Cooking Keto Southern Style. This weekend I actually posted a couple of photos of some recipes I made and I have friends and family who are wanting them. So today I'm going to do a couple of production episodes of those delicious meals. The first one we're going to do a taco. So we're going to the old south of Mexico to create a wonderful taco. What you will need is your favorite cheese. I'm using extra sharp cheddar cheese for the taco shell, and basically that's it, along with some cooking spray. So we're going to make some taco shells. The taco meat itself is a pound of 80/20 ground chuck, and then I make up my own taco seasoning. The recipe for the taco seasoning is really simple. It is salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, cumin, and some Xanthan Gum. And I use probably about about a half a teaspoon of each, except for the salt, I'll use a teaspoon. And the Xanthan Gum, I'll use about a half a teaspoon for that. Mix that all up in a bowl, and all you have to do is brown your ground beef. I do drain off the excess fat, because if you leave it in there it ends up being really greasy. So I do get rid of the excess fat, put it back in the pan just like you would normally do traditional taco meat. Add all the seasonings but the Xanthan Gum to it. Get that all worked in, add probably about 1/4 of a cup of water so it becomes runny just like you normally would do with a pack of taco seasoning. And then I put the half a teaspoon of Xanthan Gum in there, and what that does is it thickens it up. And so I have already prepared the meat, and I'm going to heat it back up in a minute after we actually make the taco shells. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a taco shell for you. So now we're going to make the taco shell. So basically all you need is your favorite grated cheese, and I'm using extra sharp cheddar cheese because that's my favorite. And you can add a little spice to this if you want to, some salt, some pepper, some garlic, some cumin, whatever you do. I prefer not to because the meat is already seasoned, and when I make the guacamole in a moment you'll see that there's even more of those same spices in the guacamole, so you can really overdo it. So here we go. We're going to take some coconut oil spray, and I'm going to spray down the pan and make taco shells. So we're going to put the stove on about a medium high heat, and we're going to let the pan heat up. The key to this working really good is to go ahead and get your pan hot before you actually start making the taco shells. Basically what we're doing is making a very large, probably about 5 to 6 inches in diameter, cheese crisp, which we used to make cheese crisp here in the family before cheese crisps were all the rage. I used to just like do it and eat them like potato chips. So they also work really well as nachos. I made the same stuff when I was trying to make cheese crisp the other day. The frying pan I was using, it didn't matter if I did have the cooking spray in it, everything was sticking to it. So when I would go to flip over the actual shell that we're going to make, it would just get all squished up. So I ended up just throwing them out to the side, letting them cool off and break them up, and I made nachos out of it. So they work great as nachos. But you can also make the diameter and then take a pair of scissors once they've cooled down a little bit, and you can cut them into to triangle shapes if you really want to go for the authentic nachos. So that's 2 things you can basically do with this same recipe. So we're going to go ahead and coat down the pan with quite a bit of coconut oil, and you're going to need 2 spatulas or a wooden spoon or something like that, and we're going to place them over a glass, and I will do a shot of that. Oops, let me go back. Okay, so I have actually placed the spatula handle, and this is kind of it's wider instead of being round, so it actually works better for filling your taco with the meat and the guacamole and a little sour cream and then some diced jalapenos that I'll show you here in a minute. But so I do this, and you can see I try to give it enough room that when I mold it, because you kind of have to do this when it's still warm, and you have to kind of push it. So you'll see this in a minute. So we'll come back to this. Okay, so now the pan should be warm enough now to start actually melting the cheese. And what we're really doing is we are frying the grease out of the cheese. And once we get a firm crust on the bottom, we'll flip it over and crisp up the other side, and then put it back over this wooden spatula handle here to form the taco shell. So now my skillet has gotten warm, and I'm going to probably use, you can just see right here, I'm going to start forming the size of this. This ends up being just a little under an ounce of cheese. So when I do 3 of them, I say I've used like 2.5 ounces, and then you look on, you know, you can calculate that for your macros. And I will actually post the macros. Okay, so there we go. We're going to let that melt down, and then we're going to use the spatula here to bring in the cheese to form actually a nice edge. And I'll show you a trick the second time I made these. So here we go. We're frying up the cheese. And the pan probably could have been a little hotter. And you'll notice that on the edge, all the actual oil from the cheese is starting to come out. The center has not gotten ready yet. We will be able to scoop up it's still gooey, so we're going to let this cook. At this point right here is where you could add your seasoning into it. You could add some more garlic or onion powder or cumin or chili powder or whatever you want. So now I've got it down. So now I'm going to go up under the edge, and this is a little tricky. So it's not as hot as you think it is for it to be molten cheese, but get all the edges loose. Come on. So we up under it, and then you can mash it back out. So here is the I'm gonna have to just get rid of the grease. The other cheese I used was not this oily. The other cheese I used was not this oily. So now we have, hopefully, yeah. So we're gonna take this over. And this is where you end up making nachos if you're not careful. Let's see if I can get it back over. I had a different brand of cheese yesterday that did not do that. Okay, here we go. We're going to actually mold the taco shell. Sheesh. Over the handle. So you can actually just see that. And I'm going to get rid of this oil. And we're going to try one more to see if we can make it just a little better this time. So we're going to put this over here. I'm going to back the heat off just a tad bit. So while that cools, I'm going to leave that there. We're going to do one more. So once again, I'm going to take the cheese and put it in here and let it start melting. And this time we're going to kind of let it run out. And there's actually a lot of oil in this cheese. I think I was actually using a name brand, and this is a store brand. So we can start kind of pushing it out just a little bit. You just kind of pat on it. Make sure it all stays connected. I will remove that. And here we go. Come on, baby. Work with daddy. Burn my finger. Oh, it's got one spot. It's just won't the freaking stick. Flip. Okay, mash it out. So we'll fry that for just a second. Oop, about got it off the stove. And then I'm gonna actually leave the oil in there and add some ground beef so we can actually build a taco here in just a moment. Okay, so out it comes over to my mold. Oh, this is just great. Okay, over to my mold. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to actually take the ground beef that I actually have already seasoned, and I'm just going to heat it up so we can build a taco. I'm going to weigh it, and for 3 tacos for each taco I do an ounce of meat. So I'm just going to do 2 ounces. And that's 2 ounces of cooked meat. I will have the macro up for you. I'm all about weighing everything because I like to know exactly what I'm eating. I know some people don't worry about it because I actually do count calories still. So that is 2 ounces of meat I'm going to throw into the skillet, which is plenty for these taco shells. So as you can see, I did 1 pound of ground beef 2 days ago, and I have already had the nachos when they failed the first time, which was a nice plate of nachos, which would have been 3 tacos. And then yesterday I made 3 taco shells and the guacamole and had that, and I will have the macros for 3 tacos with guacamole, sour cream, and the diced jalapenos up on this video. So just look down below. The recipe will be down below, so you can actually just get it, print it, and do it yourself. So while we heat up the meat, it won't take long. Actually, that's probably done. So now we're going to make the guacamole. So basically what we need is an avocado, some lime juice, some cumin, some garlic powder, some pepper, and this is a pepper. I get this at a local grocery store here. It is not a chain. It is Salser's 7 pepper. It is wonderful. And some pink Himalayan sea salt. And we're going to go ahead and mix up our guac. So I'm going to actually cut the avocado open, remove the seed, take my spoon and scoop out the avocado, and try to make sure you get every bit of that dark green right there by the actual skin of the avocado, because that is where the best nutrients of the avocado are. Oh, I think I left the stem in this one. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Let me get the stem out. Sometimes I do that. So once again, get all of that goodness out, and I should have had it on the scale. I'm going to weigh it. So we're going to scoop up the avocado in the spoon, put this back on the scale, zero out the scale. And that is 4.4 ounces of avocado. And then I'm going to get them side by side and we're going to dice this up. I love avocado. One of the best fats you can eat. Coconut oil is really good too, but I just can't eat spoonfuls of coconut oil. I have to use it to cook in cooking and stuff. So we're going to take the actual avocado, some pink Himalayan sea salt, the 7 pepper, and I have to shake it up because it is actually 7 different peppers. It has a little jalapeno and some other stuff. Black pepper, white pepper. I'd have to read the label. Garlic powder and some cumin. And my wife was talking the other day because she loves my regular guacamole, and I actually use Rotel in it. And she said, well, how could we do this every day? And I said, well, we could actually just open up a can of Rotel, keep it in a container in the refrigerator, and then you can just add like a tablespoon of Rotel to this every time you make it fresh because it's so much better fresh. And then some lime juice. And then we're going to actually just stir this up. And I kind of like it really chunky instead of mushy. So I'm going to chop it up just a little bit more. And there's some fresh guacamole. It is missing the tomato, but it's still just as good to me. So we're going to take our taco shells and our meat. Let me get my meat over here. We got the meat. Okay, so now we're going to build our tacos, and I wanted to show y'all this. This is Mount Olive diced jalapeno peppers. There are 0 carbs and 0 calories for a tablespoon, and basically we're going to use about a teaspoon in each, so you're not even going to get that. So I'm going to put that there. I've got some sour cream, and I think a serving size of it is 2 tablespoons, and we will probably end up, am I correct? 2 tablespoons, 60 calories, 1 gram of carbohydrates, and we will end up using about 2 teaspoons of it. So there's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, so we're getting less than, we'll be getting 20 calories and less than 1 gram of carb out of the sour cream. Now you can measure and use whatever you want to. Just keep up with your macros so you know what you're eating. So the first thing we're going to do is actually take the taco meat, put it into this lovely cheese taco shell, and you may know that I am omitting adding more cheese to it. I just think that would be kind of redundant since the taco shell is made out of cheese. The next thing I'm going to do is take about a teaspoon of sour cream and lay it in, put it in there, and I always just use my finger and I just spread it down over the meat, and then that lets you have something to taste. Next, I'm going to take, it ain't even a teaspoon of these, but I'm going to put the jalapenos in here, and I'm replacing this as, this is my salsa. This gives it just a little bit of kick. I got sour cream on it, so let's get it off. And then some guacamole, and I'll end up eating every bit of that guacamole. I always eat it, try to eat an avocado at each meal. So there we go, that's 1 taco, and then we'll make up the other one. And you see there, the actual shells are a little flexible, so you do have some play in this. So it's not like a traditional corn taco shell where if you try to bend that sucker, it'll snap on you. Ain't nothing worse than a broken bottom taco shell, and I did not have that problem with these. So we got the meat in there. We're going to add our sour cream to it, and I hear my son.
Why are you making lunch at 10?
I'm doing a videotape, Jace. Do you want to be on video and try my taco?
No, I haven't taken a shower. I look rough. Where's this little white avocado?
So there we go, people. 2 delicious cheese shell tacos with guacamole, sour cream, and diced jalapenos. The link for the recipe will be below in the description, and I would appreciate you liking my YouTube channel. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.